You feel everything others miss. You sense the lies before they are spoken. You absorb the pain in every room you enter. If you have ever been called too sensitive, too emotional, or too much, this video is for you. Because what they call a weakness is actually the rarest psychological archetype Carl Jung ever documented. Only 1% of people possess this pattern. And if you recognize yourself in these 7 signs, you are not broken. You are evolutionarily advanced. Jung called this the differentiated intuitive type, the empath who sees through every mask, feels every hidden emotion, and processes reality at a level most humans never reach. But here is what makes this archetype so dangerous. Society teaches you to suppress it, to doubt what you know, to apologize for your perception, until one day, something inside you snaps. And when that happens, Jung discovered, the empath becomes the most psychologically powerful person in the room. Jung spent decades documenting these individuals in his clinical practice. What he found terrified him. These were not mentally ill patients. These were people with consciousness so advanced that it had become socially dangerous. They could walk into any room and immediately sense who was lying, who was suffering, who harbored hidden darkness. And this ability destroyed them, not because they were weak, but because seeing everything came with a psychological cost that no one understood. But Jung also discovered something remarkable. The empaths who survived their gift, who learned to integrate it consciously, became what he called the awakened ones. They did not lose their sensitivity. They weaponized it. They became immune to manipulation, impossible to gaslight, and psychologically sovereign in a way that made predators instinctively avoid them. Let me show you the 7 signs that prove you carry this rare archetype. Because once you recognize these patterns in yourself, you will never doubt your perception again. Sign 1. The human lie detector. You see micro-expressions others miss. Imagine you are in a conversation. Someone is smiling, saying all the right words, but you feel it, that tiny flicker in their eyes, the slight tension in their jaw, the millisecond delay before they laugh. Everyone else sees a friendly person. You see someone hiding something. This is not paranoia. This is your brain processing information at a speed that feels like magic to others. Jung documented patients who could walk into any room and immediately sense who was lying, who was in pain, who harbored secret resentments. Their accuracy rate was shocking. Not because they were psychic, because they were paying attention at a level most people never reach. You notice things others do not even register. The way someone's voice changes pitch when they talk about certain topics. How they position their body when telling a story. The words they choose and the words they carefully avoid. You are reading a language most people do not know exists, and you have been doing this your entire life without even trying. Jung called this differentiated perception. Your unconscious mind processes thousands of signals simultaneously and delivers the conclusion as a gut feeling. That is why you cannot always explain how you know something. You just know, and you are almost always right. But here is the problem with being a human lie detector. People feel exposed around you. They cannot explain why, but your presence makes them uncomfortable. You are not doing anything wrong. Your nervous system is simply wired to catch what others miss, and that makes people nervous. You have probably noticed this pattern your whole life. People tell you that you are too intense, too analytical, reading too much into things. But the truth is, you are reading exactly what is there. They just cannot see it. But seeing through every social facade is only the first sign. The second one is even more disturbing. Sign 2. The mirror effect. Why people instantly dislike you for no reason. You walk into a room. You have not said a word. You have not done anything. But someone immediately dislikes you. They cannot explain why. They just feel uncomfortable when you are around. This has happened to you over and over. Different people, different settings, same reaction. Jung called this shadow projection, And understanding this mechanism will change your life. Here is what is happening. Every person carries a shadow, the parts of themselves they refuse to acknowledge, their capacity for selfishness, cruelty, manipulation. Most people spend enormous energy keeping these aspects hidden, even from themselves. Then you enter the room. Your presence reflects their shadow back to them. Not because you're doing anything, because your level of awareness creates a psychological mirror. They sense unconsciously that you can see what they are hiding. And the unconscious mind has two choices: integrate the shadow or attack the mirror. They always choose to attack the mirror. This is why certain people target you for no logical reason. Why they spread rumors, question your character, try to turn others against you. They are not really seeing you. They are seeing their own denied shadow, and you become the screen onto which they project everything they cannot accept in themselves. Jung observed this pattern repeatedly in his clinical work. The person who sees clearly gets blamed for creating the problems they are merely observing. Empaths aren't broken, they're alchemists in progress. The Alchemist's Path gives you drills, Jung-based boundaries, and 3 exclusive chapter videos to turn overwhelm into clarity. By Surreal Mind, 236-page downloadable ebook, in stock. Begin now at thesurrealmind.com. His patients with differentiated intuition experience this constantly. They would point out obvious dysfunction and suddenly become the problem themselves. Understanding this does not make it hurt less, but it does explain why you have always felt like a scapegoat. You are not crazy. You are not the problem. You are simply reflecting back what people are not ready to see. And the mirror effect leads directly into the 3rd sign. Sign 3, emotional contagion. You do not just sympathize. You physically absorb the atmosphere of every room. You walk into a party. Everyone is laughing, having a good time, but you feel the tension underneath, the unspoken conflict between 2 friends, the person smiling while drowning in depression. The host who is 1 comment away from a breakdown. You did not ask for this information. Your nervous system just absorbed it. This is what Jung called participation mystique, a psychological state where boundaries between yourself and others become permeable. You do not just observe emotions. You experience them in your own body. Someone else's anxiety becomes your racing heart. Their sadness becomes your exhaustion. Their anger becomes your tension. This is not empathy in the normal sense. This is your brain's inability to filter out emotional information from your environment, and it absolutely exhausts you. Jung documented patients who would describe this experience with disturbing accuracy. They could walk into a house and immediately know a couple had been fighting. They would sit in a meeting and feel the unstated power dynamics like a physical weight. They would have conversations with people and come away carrying emotions that did not belong to them at all. One of Jung's patients described it perfectly. She said it was like being a sponge in an ocean. She absorbed everything around her without the ability to control what came in. By the end of each day, she had no idea which feelings were hers and which belonged to the dozens of people she had encountered. She needed hours alone just to wring herself out and figure out who she actually was underneath all the absorbed content. Jung wrote extensively about patients who lived in a state of perpetual emotional contagion. They would come home from work completely drained, not from their own day, but from absorbing everyone else's unexpressed feelings. They could not go to crowded places without becoming overwhelmed. They needed hours of solitude just to figure out which emotions were actually theirs. If this describes you, then you understand why social situations feel like running a marathon. You are not weak. Your nervous system is processing thousands of emotional signals that others do not even register. No wonder you need to recover. But emotional contagion also makes you a target, which brings us to the 4th sign, sign 4, the magnet for broken souls. Why narcissists and energy vampires always find you. You have noticed the pattern. Wherever you go, damaged people attached to you, the narcissist who love bombs you, the victim who needs endless rescuing, the emotional vampire who drains you dry. It happens so consistently that you have started to wonder if something is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. You are simply carrying something that predators can sense from across a room. Jung documented this phenomenon extensively. Empaths do not attract broken people because they are weak. They attract broken people because they have what Jung called psychological supply, the capacity to feel, to care, to see someone's humanity, even when they cannot see it themselves. This is an extraordinarily rare resource, and certain personality types are wired to seek it out. You have probably experienced this in a specific way. You meet someone new. Within days or weeks, they are trauma dumping on you, sharing their deepest wounds, telling you their entire life story. You did not ask for this information, but they felt safe enough with you to unload it. And here is the trap. Your natural compassion makes you want to help. So you do. You listen. You validate. You offer support. And before you know it, you are emotionally responsible for a person you barely know. This is not random. Broken people can sense empaths the way sharks sense blood in water. They are not conscious of what they are doing, but their unconscious mind recognizes in you the exact qualities they need to continue their patterns without ever changing. You become their emotional dumping ground, their validation machine, their excuse for why they cannot heal. And the saddest part is, you do not even realize it is happening until you are completely drained. Think about it. A narcissist needs someone who will reflect back their inflated self-image, who will absorb their emotional chaos, who will excuse their behavior because they can feel the wounded child underneath. An empath can do all of this instinctively. It is not conscious. It is how your nervous system is built. The victim narrative person needs someone who will never tire of rescuing them, who will believe their endless stories of persecution, who will provide emotional support without ever expecting them to change. Again, an empath fulfills this role perfectly. You are not choosing these people consciously, they are choosing you. Because your energy signature broadcasts to those who are looking that you are a reliable source of the psychological supply they need. Understanding this pattern is crucial, because until you recognize it, you will keep ending up in the same toxic dynamics while blaming yourself for attracting them. You are not attracting them because you are damaged. You are attracting them because you are powerful, and they are parasites seeking a host. This brings us to the fifth sign, one that confuses even the empaths who carry it. Sign 5, the paradox of introversion. You are not shy, you are overstimulated. People assume you are introverted because you are shy or socially anxious. They are wrong. You are introverted because spending time with people is like standing next to a speaker at a rock concert. The volume of emotional and psychological information coming at you is overwhelming. Jung distinguished between introversion as temperament and introversion as necessity. True empaths often enjoy social connection. What they cannot tolerate is the energetic assault that comes with it. Every conversation carries subtext you automatically decode. Every facial expression gets processed. Every emotional undercurrent gets absorbed. By the time you have been around people for a few hours, your nervous system is completely overloaded. Not because you dislike people, because you are processing exponentially more information than everyone else in the room. This is why you need solitude to recharge, not because you are antisocial, because you need time for all the absorbed emotional content to settle. Time to figure out what belongs to you and what belongs to everyone else. Time for your nervous system to return to baseline. Jung taught his patients to view this need for solitude as non-negotiable self-care, not a personality flaw. Your nervous system requires a reset period. Without it, you become anxious, irritable, and eventually physically ill. This is not weakness. This is biology. One of Jung's patients described her solitude practice this way. She would come home after being around people and sit in complete silence for at least an hour. No music, no television, no stimulation of any kind. She called it wringing out the sponge. All the emotions, energies, and psychological content she had absorbed during the day would slowly drain away. Only then could she access her own feelings and thoughts underneath. Without this daily reset, she felt like she was drowning in other people's internal worlds. But the need for solitude often gets misinterpreted, which leads to the sixth sign. Sign 6, the crazy label. Being gaslit by society because your intuition spots patterns before they happen. You tell your friend that her new boyfriend gives you a bad feeling. She tells you that you are being judgmental. 6 months later, she discovers he has been cheating the entire time. You warn your family member about a financial decision. They tell you that you are being negative. A year later, they lose everything, exactly as you predicted. This has happened so many times that you have stopped speaking up. Because being right does not make you trusted. It makes you threatening. Jung documented this pattern across hundreds of cases. Patients with differentiated intuition could predict relationship failures, career disasters, and personal breakdowns months before they occurred. Not through logic, but through unconscious pattern recognition. Their predictions were frighteningly accurate. But accuracy did not protect them from being labeled paranoid, negative, or crazy. Here is what makes this so maddening. You are not predicting the future. You are reading the present more clearly than everyone else. You see the tiny cracks in the foundation that will eventually cause the building to collapse. You notice the pattern of behavior that always leads to betrayal. You feel the emotional trajectory that ends in disaster. But people do not want to hear it. So they dismiss you, gaslight you, tell you that you are overthinking, being too sensitive, creating problems where none exist, until everything you predicted happens. Then they act shocked, as if you did not warn them. This pattern of being right but not believed creates a special kind of psychological damage. You start doubting yourself, second guessing your intuition, wondering if maybe you are the problem. This is exactly what society needs you to do, because if you trust your perception completely, you become very difficult to manipulate. Which brings us to the final sign, the one Jung found most disturbing. Sign 7, the snap, the capacity for total detachment. People assume empaths are soft, emotionally fragile, easy to manipulate. They have no idea what happens when an empath reaches their breaking point. Jung documented a pattern he called shadow integration under extreme duress. After years of absorbing others' pain, being gaslit, having their perception dismissed, something inside the empath snaps, not into rage, into ice-cold clarity. The trigger is always the same, a betrayal so profound that it forces the empath to finally trust their own perception over their need to see the best in people. A moment when all the evidence they have been collecting, all the red flags they have been ignoring, all the gut feelings they have been suppressing, suddenly coalesce into undeniable truth. And in that moment, everything changes. The empath does not explode. They go completely calm. All the emotional chaos stops. The constant worry about others' feelings disappears. And they start speaking truth with surgical precision. This is not cruelty. This is the empath finally using their perception strategically instead of absorbing everything passively. They reveal exactly what they have been observing all along: the manipulation, the lies, the patterns everyone else pretended not to see. But now they deliver this information without emotion, without trying to soften it, without cushioning the blow. Jung described watching this transformation in his patients with a mixture of awe and terror. They did not become different people. They became completely themselves for the first time. All the social conditioning that taught them to suppress their perception, to doubt what they knew, to prioritize others' comfort over their own truth, it all fell away. What remained was pure, integrated consciousness. Jung called this the moment. The victim realizes they have been playing chess while everyone else thought it was checkers. The empath has been cataloging everything, every betrayal, every lie, every instance of being gaslit. They have not forgotten a single thing. They have just been silent. One of Jung's patients described her experience of snapping this way. For years she had absorbed her husband's emotional volatility, made excuses for his behavior, convinced herself that her perception of his manipulation was her being too sensitive. Then one day, she discovered a betrayal so obvious that she could no longer deny what she had known all along. And something inside her went cold, not angry, cold. She looked at him and suddenly saw him with complete clarity, not as the person she wanted him to be, as exactly who he was, and in that moment, she stopped caring about his feelings more than her own truth. She told him exactly what she had observed over the years, the lies, the manipulation, the gaslighting. She delivered this information calmly, almost clinically. He tried all his usual tactics, denial, blame-shifting, playing the victim. None of it worked. She was immune. She had integrated her shadow. She knew her capacity for walking away, and she was no longer afraid to use it. When an empath snaps, they do not become vengeful, they become sovereign. They stop people-pleasing. They stop doubting their perception. They stop apologizing for seeing clearly. And they start enforcing boundaries with absolute conviction. Jung observed that this transformation was permanent. These patients never went back to unconscious absorption. They had become what he called the integrated empath, someone with both the sensitivity to feel everything and the wisdom to choose what deserves their energy. This is the most dangerous thing a person can become, because an integrated empath can read you completely, but no longer needs anything from you. They can see your manipulation coming, but feel no obligation to respond to it. They can sense your emotional state, but maintain complete boundaries. They have become psychologically untouchable. And here is what makes this transformation so powerful. The integrated empath does not lose their sensitivity. They gain sovereignty over it. They still feel deeply, but they choose what to do with what they feel. They still see clearly, but they decide when and how to speak what they see. They still attract broken people, but they maintain boundaries that protect their energy. They have become what Jung always believed was possible: conscious, integrated, whole. But here is where it gets dangerous. Society needs you to believe that your sensitivity is a weakness, that your perception is paranoia, that your need for boundaries is selfishness. Because if you recognize your true power, you become impossible to manipulate. An empath who trusts their intuition completely cannot be gaslit. An empath who understands shadow projection cannot be scapegoated. An empath who honors their need for solitude cannot be drained. An empath who has integrated their shadow cannot be attacked through shame. This is why they taught you to doubt yourself, not to protect you, to control you. Jung believed that individuals with differentiated intuition serve a crucial evolutionary function. They see what collective consciousness is not ready to acknowledge. They feel the problems before they become catastrophic. They reflect the shadows that need to be integrated. This makes them deeply uncomfortable for society, but absolutely essential for growth. If you recognized yourself in these 7 signs, you are part of that 1% Jung was documenting. You are not too sensitive. You are seeing clearly in a world that prefers comfortable delusions. You are not too emotional. You are processing reality at a depth others cannot access. You are not too much. You are exactly what consciousness evolution requires. The question is not whether you have this archetype. If you made it this far in the video, you know you do. The question is whether you will continue doubting it, or finally start trusting the perception you were born with. The empath archetype is not a curse. It is a superpower that has not been properly understood or protected. But now you know what you are carrying. The only question left is what you will do with this knowledge. If you recognized yourself in these 7 signs, drop a comment below saying, "I see everything." Let me know which sign resonated most deeply with you. And if you are ready to stop doubting your perception and start trusting it completely, subscribe for more insights into Jung's psychology that explain why you have always felt different. Because you are not broken. You are not too much. You are carrying one of the rarest and most powerful psychological patterns Jung ever documented. And it is time you started treating it that way. In The Alchemist's Path, perception training for empaths, you'll turn overwhelm into wisdom with practical drills, Jung-inspired boundaries, and step-by-step perception training. This guide includes 3 exclusive chapter videos to deepen each lesson. Written by Surreal Mind, 236 pages, beautifully designed 8.5 by 11 downloadable ebook, in stock now. Start your training today. Feel deeply while thinking clearly. Get The Alchemist's Path at thesurrealmind.com. Thanks for watching. See you in the next dimension. If you like this one, you'll love this next video.